Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809 in Kentucky, USA, as the second child. Not long after Lincoln was born, his family moved to Indiana after experiencing 3 bankruptcies. Lincoln's father, Thomas, is known to have forced Lincoln to pursue a path of farming and labor rather than studying. It is said that one day, a conman tried to swindle Lincoln's father, Thomas, by taking advantage of his illiteracy, but Lincoln barely managed to stop him just before he signed his name. There is a story that the father, who only later realized that it was a fraud, kicked out the fraudster. And after this incident, Thomas recognized the importance of studying and allowed his son to study. Lincoln's mother died at the age of 34 from milk disease, caused by drinking milk from cows that had consumed poisonous plants. It is said that Lincoln was 9 years old at this time. But his stepmother Sarah took warm care of her children, and it is said that she took Lincoln's side because of his love of books. Thanks to this, it is said that Lincoln was able to acquire a wealth of knowledge even though he did not receive a formal education. Lincoln's father, Thomas, although uneducated, was a great storyteller who made his words interesting, and by listening to his father tell stories, Lincoln was able to learn to speak. When Lincoln became an adult, he went to Louisiana and suffered all sorts of hardships, working as a postmaster, boatman, surveyor, professional wrestler, and store clerk. Lincoln also failed in his business and was defeated in the 1832 Illinois State Representative election the following year, finishing 8th out of 13 candidates. In 1833, he studied law on his own and qualified as a lawyer, and in 1834, he ran for office again and was elected, finally entering politics. However, his difficulties did not end there. Since then, he has been defeated by the Illinois State House of Representatives, failed by the Presidential Electoral College, and was eliminated by the U.S. House of Representatives. It was not until 1846 that he was barely elected to the House of Representatives, but even after that, Lincoln experienced several defeats. Lincoln is said to have lost 7 of his 10 elections. Lincoln was elected president in the presidential election of 1860, when there was great conflict over the issue of slavery. However, a month after Lincoln took office, the Civil War broke out due to an attack by the Confederate Army, and the Northern Army was put on the defensive. He turned the tide in September 1860 by leading domestic and international public opinion in his favor, thanks to the preliminary Declaration of Emancipation that pledged to abolish slavery. And on April 9, 1865, Confederate Commander General Robert E. Lee surrendered, ending the Civil War. Lincoln fell in love with a woman named Anne Rutledge and even proposed marriage to her in 1835, but a few months later, she suddenly died of typhoid fever at the age of 24. Lincoln was so sad that he did not date women for some time. In 1836, he attempted a relationship with a woman named Mary Owens, but she broke up with him. In 1842, Lincoln was introduced to and married a wealthy woman from the South named Mary Todd. Lincoln had a love marriage with Mary Todd, but he is said to have had a hard time overcoming the differences in his upbringing with Mary during their marriage. Mary suffered from depression and hysteria following the deaths of her children and her siblings, and she was also known to be a bad wife. Moreover, it is said that since Mary was from the South and was the daughter of a slave owner, she is considered one of the worst first ladies due to her inappropriate behavior during the Civil War. Lincoln had 4 sons. His second and third sons unfortunately died from infectious diseases at a young age. Because Lincoln lived such a difficult life both politically and personally, it is said that he suffered from depression for almost his entire life. On April 15, 1865, Lincoln was assassinated by John Walsh Booth, a popular Southern actor. At that time, the Civil War actually ended when the Confederate Army surrendered to the Union Army. But after hearing Lincoln's speech for black voting rights, Booth became very angry and planned to assassinate Lincoln. Despite his troubled personal history, Lincoln is considered the greatest president in American history. Thanks to his achievements in freeing slaves and creating a unified United States, Lincoln is still highly recognized and popular today, and experts such as political scientists and historians give him a very generous evaluation of Lincoln. Lincoln has always been at the top of all presidential ratings and popularity ratings, and he is known as the most famous and respected American president not only in the United States but also abroad. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address is an American tradition of liberalism. It soon became a symbol of freedom, equality, and democracy, and is considered one of the most quoted speeches in all of American history. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. While making the video, I learned about Lincoln's difficult past and life that I had never known before. He never had an easy life, but ironically, I think that the President Lincoln we know today was able to exist because he endured and overcame those difficult times well. If you were to tell us living in modern times to live like Lincoln, I think 9 out of 10 would run away. I admire President Lincoln for overcoming such a difficult life. And I also think that he still teaches us many lessons today.